So Lilian Fraiji is an art curator and producer based in the Amazon, Brazil, where she has just arrived today. So she's not possibly quite with us totally. So if she falls over, there's a good reason for it. So in Brazil, in the Amazon, she's director of Lab Verde, which is an art immersion program in the Amazon. And she's responsible for the program's social contribution at Bosque da Ciência IMPA in Manaus. She's a specialist in cultural management from Barcelona University and has a master's degree in curating arts from the University of Ramon. She's co-founder of Manifesta, an organisation dedicated to develop multidisciplinary contents involving art, science and nature. As an independent researcher, she is interested in how culture is related to nature and how landscape is shaped in the Anthropocene era. She was chief curator of the Amazon Pinacoteca, 2018 to 2013, and curated several art exhibitions involving the subject of the Amazon. So, without further ado, I shall hand over to Lilian, who's going to tell you all about Lab Verde. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot, Heather, for the invitation. Thanks a lot for the organization of Laser, and also thanks for you for being here. I just arrived today from the Amazon, so just coming from the forest to the city, so you're gonna have to be a little bit patient with me tonight, okay? I wanted to show a small video about Lab Verde program, just for you to get in the mood of Lab Verde experience. So, Lab Verde Art Immersion program in the Amazon was created in 2013. It's a collaboration between Manifesta Arte e Cultura, that I am responsible of this non-profit organization, with the National Institute of Amazonian Research, IMPA, that I will talk a little bit more later on today. So, when Heather asked me to talk about a remote residency, makes me wonder, what is remote nowadays anyways? No, remote for whom? We don't understand ourselves as a remote. The program has 5 years, and we have received 100 artists from more than 30 countries. So we are exporting the subject and the discussion of the Amazon issue for all over the world. So we don't consider ourselves as a remote, but of course we promote a remote experience. We also, with this development of network, we are organizing different kinds of events around the world. So we just launched Lab Verde catalog. It's online, so you can download it if you want. It's at Lab Verde webpage. And it was launched in Rio de Janeiro, in Oslo, and it's going to be launched in Berlin as well. And of course, but we are also concentrating a lot of our activity to local community in Manaus for local audience. So, when we first thought about creating a program in the Amazon, we know that we would have many challenges, right? because Amazon is this region created by many memories, many histories, many narratives connected to this pristine nature, to this exotic nature that we really is not connected to the real Amazon today. You know, so we have a whole history of colonized nature that we want to break through. Also, of course, we wanted to work in a remote zone, and we wanted to work inside of the forest. So we had these two challenges, you know, to work with an iconic place, you know, the Amazon, and also to work in a remote zone. So this is the Amazon region. The Amazon region, sorry I forgot my notes, but I can deliver some information about the Amazon. For instance, the Amazon 20% concentrates 9 different countries compose the Amazon, 9 different Brazilian states. 20% of all fauna all over the world, 20% concentrate is in the Amazon. So the Amazon is really a huge place, you know, composed by many kind of ecosystems, geographies, natural phenomena, and also many kind of communities, indigenous groups. So I like to call the Amazon as a hyperbiome, making a reference to hyper object, this concept of Timothy Morton, because nobody really know the influence and the impact of the Amazon to the whole planet system. No, we know that the Amazon, the influence can be spread in time and space. We know that the Amazon is really important for sending a lot of water to the atmosphere and also to consume a lot of CO2, but we don't know we still don't know how can we measure the impact, the real impact of this super biome to the planet system. So this is the state of the Amazon. That you can see that is a big state, and the forest is getting eaten by its border. So the Amazon state is concentrating a big portion of the forest alive. And this is the capital where we are. It's the capital of the state of the Amazon, called Manaus, where we are. And it's a big city, it's 2 million people. But although it's very isolated, because you just can reach the city by plane. And we are working in this zone that is Reserva Florestal Adolfo Duque, administered by this National Institute. So this is the place that we are going to. Instead of a regular residency, we decided to create a program and to know different scales of landscape, also to have access to different ecosystems, you know, because how can we offer a view of this big ecosystem just going to one spot. So we are having these 10 days just to go around and to meet the river, to meet all kind of different ecosystems. So here is more or less some image of the landscape that we are working on. And also, just to contextualize, the National Institute of Amazonia Research, it's really important for us because we are working in their headquarters. So this is actually a headquarters administered by INPA. They administrate this reserve all over the Amazon. And they are the second largest institute of research of Brazil. They are producing a lot of knowledge of the Amazon biome, but they also have a history of data and information about this biome because they have almost 70 years old. So this is really important when you have to deal with ecosystems and when you have to forecast the future of an ecosystem. So Lab Verde, we always say that it's a mix of the essence of life, experience of life, and consciousness of life, to have a complete experience of the program. So, half of the program, we are having lectures with this amazing science that are investigating the Amazon for so many years, like 50 years or 30 years, and talking about dendrochronology, the age of trees, entomology, ornithology, biology, knowing different aspects of the rainforest, knowing the interaction between the scales and between beings to understand better the big picture of the Amazon. All the knowledge that we are trying to deliver, it's the content that we are promoting is trying to break through this idea of a pristine nature, a natural side. We are trying almost to denaturalize nature somehow. So for instance, we are having this first lecture of Professor Charles Clement, this little guy here, that I investigating the Amazon for 30 years, and actually he's investigating that the Amazon is an anthropogenic forest, that the forest was domesticated by indigenous community during 11,000 years, sorry. So talking about anthropogenic forest in the Anthropocene is such a contrast, so it's almost a solution for the Anthropocene, right? We are also having a lot of political content. All the scientists that are working with us are ambientalists. Now it's really, I think when you are dealing with a transdisciplinary project, we really have to let people free and let people speak up for themselves, because I can see that science really needs to bring data, to bring information, can never have their own opinion. So in Lab Verde, we let everybody free to talk whatever they want, and also have a more politically engaged view about the world. So artists can talk about science, science can talk about politics, everything. We try to make a very comfortable and freedom space, to be a very freedom platform. Also, we are learning with this more engaged and political aspect of the Amazon, we are learning that with the impact in the Amazon, with the construction of dams, with the deforestation, that the Amazon now, it's polluting more than the atmosphere, than consuming the CO2, because you know that the forest is consuming CO2, right? But now the forest, the region, is polluting more the atmosphere than the forest is able to consume the CO2. So we cannot call the region the lungs of the world anymore. So the other half of the program, we are trying to activate body senses. So like having sessions of listen to nature, eating nature. We have session of wild edible plants. We listen, we smell. So trying to activate the senses. So it's really funny when artists are coming to the Amazon, because they come super excited, having this idea of gorgeous nature, and they arrive, and we're going straight to the jungle, and we are more or less like this. That inside the jungle is like this. They are super happy, they figure out their project, and then you go inside the jungle. In the jungle, as you see, is a super dark place, just 1% of the sunlight to reach the soil. So it's almost that the space is constructed by different layers of shadows, and the space is constructed also by sounds. You cannot see anything, but you can hear a lot of things, and you can feel the beings around you. So it's quite funny to see, artists feeling the heatness and the humidity in the air, and also having these hard lessons, hard science lessons, because we're going to the jungle to learn to have this information of hard science. And so we are talking about the end of the Amazon, we are talking about the tipping point of the Amazon. I don't know if you are familiar with the term tipping point, but the tipping point is how much an environment can handle before it collapses. So we are talking about the end of the Amazon, right? So the tipping point, some scientists say that the tipping point of the Amazon already arrived. Some say that it's between 25 to 40 years, but we are having this kind of content that is very heavy content, and we are there, you know, full of mosquitoes around you. So after 4 days, we are going to a tower with 360 degrees of green ocean. We cannot see any man intervention in the landscape. So it's really beautiful to see, and it's not a fragment forest, it's a continuous forest into Peru, and we are very far away from Peru. So it's a moment of hope of the program, right? It's also really beautiful to see that these invisible phenomena of climate, you know, that everybody say that invisible global warming, the invisibility of global warming and climate phenomena, but there actually we can see the rainforest breathing and throwing a lot of air, sending a lot of water to the atmosphere. So you can see actually this phenomena of air-raised rivers, so we can see how the forest is helping us to maintain climate. And at the end, we are going in a boat. So it's, of course, we're gonna have to have a happy ending, right? Before, after the mosquitoes, and then we go to a boat, and we can see the landscape far away. And we organize a seminar with other guests. So this exercise with the scale, you know, your body with landscape, to be inside of the landscape, to be above, to be looking the landscape, makes you understand your body as part of the landscape. So your body is interacting and shaping the landscape, but also the landscape is interacting and shaping your own body. Really feel that coexistence is an important part of the creative process. So I also understand that the Lago Verde experience is also an experience of presence, because nowadays it's so hard to be alone, you know, we are always with other beings, and not maybe alone, but connected, right? So in Lago Verde, during these 10 days, we're totally disconnected. No phone, no internet, and we encourage people to go out alone in the rainforest. So when you are alone, help me. Yeah, with other beings. So makes you feel, look inside of yourself to understand your body as an ecosystem, and your body as an ecosystem that is interacting with other ecosystems and understanding things as a whole. So to end my talk, I would like to share with you a question that we are trying to answer during Lago Verde program. Is that if nature is giving us so much beauty and so much diversity to the world, and also if nature are making us understand better the world around us, how can we give back to nature in the same sense that nature is giving us? How can artists, because for sure Lago Verde experience is changing a lot of artistic process. So how, if nature are giving this to artists, how artists can can give back to nature, how artists can make us understand better the Anthropocene. So that's it.
Hold your questions for Lilian. I'm going to hand straight over to Alexandra. So Alexandra Boris was artist in residence at Lab Verde in 2016. So we're going to follow with Alex's presentation, and then the two can take questions together. So one from a kind of curatorial and organiser point of view, and then as an artist who's had the experience that Lilian described. So Alexandra is an artist working in the fields of choreography, video, installation, astronomy, cosmology, mythology and ecology, to name a few things. Her work looks at the human body, environment, earth and the universe, so across scales, and asks what kind of choreography happens between these scales. She's interested in looking at Earth from a distance and wonders how this perspective changes the way life on our planet is approached. Alexandra graduated in 2016 from the Masters in Art and Science here at Central St Martin's and previously studied contemporary dance in Rotterdam and ballet in Lodz. And in 2015 she received the research scholarship by Grasnia Kulczyk, apologies for the pronunciation, and in 2019 the art research scholarship from Ministry of Culture and National Heritage in Poland. So, welcome Alex.
Hello everyone. As Heather just said, I'm Alex. I'm an MA Arts and Science graduate of 2016 and Lab Fraiji artist in residence in 2017. Hello. Is that okay? So my initial idea for going to Lab Fraiji residency was continuation of what I was researching during my MA studies, which is the relationship between astronomy and choreography, which at this time already I call the dance between the Earth, human body, and the universe. So it's quite actually funny to hear Lilian talking about it, because that was me in 2017, going to Brazil, knowing exactly what I'm going to do. Super excited, having great ideas, landed in Manaus for first time ever in South America. Super excited, met everyone at this station, and we were just asked to go on the boat, and the journey started. So the first reaction that I had was to document everything that I saw. So I was literally just holding my old cameras that I had, taking pictures of the gorgeousness of Amazon, and then we got to hear stories and scientific information about the river, and I still thought that I knew exactly what I was supposed to do there artistically. So we spent first 24 hours on the river. We stepped there on the boat. And I think the beauty of it was that you don't really realize how overwhelmed you are, and you still think you know what you're doing. So the next day we arrived to the remote place that you saw in Amazon, to the headquarters of Duki Reserve, exactly. And we stayed there, we arrived late in the night, we woke up next morning, and that was the first time we went for a walk into the jungle. There we were, 16 people from different places in the whole planet, just walking through the jungle, being like, yeah, this is great. You know, we know what we're doing. Each of us has a great idea, and I'm like, yeah, I've got all the knowledge. This is great. This is plant. This is the earth. This is me. The sky is there. It's great. In the afternoon, we had the first lecture. I don't remember which one was it. Probably it was with the great guy who told us a few scientific informations about it. So that was the third day. The fourth day, I was also counting every single day that I was there. Because going there I knew that it might be the only lifetime opportunity for me to be there. So I was like, okay, this is the fourth day. We had a lecture in the morning, and I was like, afternoon, I'm starting to do my artistic project that I came here to deliver. So after the lunch, I took whatever I had with me, had my plan, separated from everyone else, went on the site and started delivering. I spent a couple of hours like that. I came back for a dinner, sat down and felt extremely sad and empty. And I was like, oh wow, I wasted a couple of hours here, that's great. And that was the moment when I understood physically that you cannot come prepared to a place that you've never been to before. Great. And all the ideas that I had about the dance between Earth, human body, and space and universe were irrelevant in this situation. So a fifth day started, and I had one decision that I'm not gonna waste another moment here. So I would wake up from the fifth day on, wake up every day before the sunrise, and I'm not a person that easily wakes up in the morning. I would go for a walk that would last an hour or two before the breakfast, had a breakfast, and then we would have sometimes lectures in the morning or in the afternoon, so whenever I would have a time, I would just go to the forest and kept on walking and just hope that, something would happen, because what else can I do here is just overwhelming, and everything is so much information. Then we got to taste the Amazon as well one day, and I remember feeling dizzy from eating the flowers. So like my body literally went crazy with amount of information that I received. And by the last days, I grabbed my camera again and I started filming some things, mostly just little bits and pieces that felt great during the walks that I had. And I also used 16mm camera, so I had very limited amount of material that I could collect, which was wonderful as well, because that took my focus away from looking at everything through the lenses of camera. So yeah, 10 days passed by really quick. I remember talking to Lilian, being like, I don't know what's happening, this is amazing, and my body's just going crazy. And she's like, but go and dance. I'm like, I don't know how. That was the other thing that I realized, that all of the dancing education that I had, all the body knowledge that I had, was absolutely pointless. I even remember going one day in the evening when everyone was feeling like, okay, now I'm gonna go in the forest, and I'm gonna do my dance. So I stood there, I looked at the trees, I'm like, this is great, this is gonna be it. Started moving, like, that feels horrible. So I left it on the side. So during the 10 days, I managed only to create a little video. But coming back from Brazil to Europe, well, I had to refigure my whole artistic life, basically. So luckily I had some jobs for the first couple of months, and then I went back to Poland and spent another couple of months in forest there, trying to understand, okay, what is this that I'm gonna do? So how do I make art from now on? I didn't want to use too many materials that are that would be especially created for me, so I could create art as another object to put. I don't know, I had lots of questions about that, so that sort of brought me back to my body as a material that I wanted to work with. Because I kind of came back to the idea that working with body would be the most sustainable way of creating art. And that started framing how, since then, I'm approaching making my work, which I will talk about more next week. But for now, I would like to share with you the film that I made in Brazil, and then leave you with that.
Mic, and I'm happy to open it straight up. Who's got some questions or comments that we'd like to make for either speaker? One hand here, okay. And one there, okay. So there's one here.
I've got a sort of two-part question, and this is with genuine curiosity, and I hope it won't. It's not meant to be a confrontational question, it's with genuine curiosity that I ask it. Can you talk about the environmental implications of the residencies, how you what parameters you put round, or what parameters how you organise it in a sort of environmentally sensitive way? Because obviously I could see as people coming from all across the world. And I also wondered, do you have as part of your programme artists from within the communities, the local communities that it also serves?
I can answer the last one first. Well, I'm always very pressured to organize things with community because I think there is a wave. It's like fashion now to working with engaging communities. Not that I don't believe, I really love communities and I'm always trying to, I'm very community kind of person, that's what I mean. But I really think that we have the discussion before that to work with communities, to work with other humans, you need time. And especially when we're talking about the residents, to bringing people from all over the world. And we know the Amazon have a whole history of colonized people, no? So it's not that simple to represent human. You know, it's kind of simple to represent non-human, but to represent human, there is a whole implication, ethic implication that I think I'm a little bit concerned. So I prefer not to. Even that a lot of people ask me, I prefer not to because I think this relation needs time to organize, to do a very good engaging artist. You need time to the community, or at least you need to speak their language. And then you need to create together, to understand they as a subject as well to the construction of the work. So I could not do that using the same methodology that I am using for Lab Verde program. So, and about the other question that we did, we are trying to export the discussion of the Amazon issue to other countries. And also we are a non-profit organization, so we are organizing a lot of exhibitions and talkings in Manaus to local community. We always have a local artist participating in the residency, but we prefer, because local artists are not engaged to the ecosystem, is amazing. They are talking about the art, are talking about cities, are talking about another things. There is a problem in Manaus that people from Manaus doesn't like the forest. You know, forest is like the opposite of progress, right? So for them, no, not for everyone, but most of the people think like this. So we are trying to organize exhibitions with artists and scientists to discuss some issue about the Amazon. For instance, last year we organized an exhibition that were talking about this theory of the Amazon being an anthropogenic forest. So we had 4,000 people went to this exhibition. This year we are going to talk about a dam that was constructed next to Manaus and is a work that is a collaboration, always is a collaboration between an artist and a scientist. So these dams are not producing a lot of energy, but have killed many, many, many trees. So it's not profitable, and also it's a big environmental crime. And also, I think it's important to share with you, I always like to talk bad about the Norwegian people, sorry, it's just a joke, but I'm gonna explain. Is that the Norwegian state donate a lot of money for Brazilian Amazon to protect nature and protect the Amazon. But actually they are, the government has a company that are extracting a lot of aluminium, bauxite, aluminium, no? It's a metal. Aluminium? Yeah. So, and last year they just polluted a river that was a huge crime, environmental crime. And nobody spoke about this in Brazil. Nobody spoke about this in Norway. And because we have access to scientists, we knew that, and we were discussing this situation. And now, last week, this was the subject of Lab Verde talk in Norway. So it's a very small thing that we are actually doing, but I think the discussion is around, and the issue of today of the Amazon is around.
Thank you, Lilian. I was wondering if Alexandra, if you have anything to add to that from your perspective as an outsider going in, from the kind of the awareness of the environmental situation and sensitivities, or the kind of sensitivities to local populations. Or were you in your own bubble in the jungle?
No, I mean, the program is created in a way that you do become aware of things, and the discussions that are being created or are happening are very political, and they do become global. It was quite interesting that whenever we start with problem concerning Amazon, it could be translated to all the places wherever we would come from. So that also shows that it's not a local problem, that it is a global problem. So yeah, that's for sure. And yeah, I mean, also knowing that you're in preserved, is it 100 kilometers square?
10 by 10.
Yeah. And you know that not many people are allowed there, and you still find plastic garbage on the floor. And that's the information that you take with you for a bit longer and further, yeah.
Okay, thank you. There was a question.
Yeah, can I just talk?
It's helpful for the mic to pick it up for the video.
I'll be mic'd, right. So this is a question for Alex. You were talking about how you got there and everything you brought with you, all of everything in your head, kind of went out the window. When you showed us the video at the end, how does that compare to the work you used to do before you went there?
I'm getting the thoughts together, sorry. Because I think the biggest difference is how I approached making the work. And that made me actually realize that usually, which I always thought that I was intuitive. And then being there, I realized that I used to always work from very organized place, where I would plan and know exactly why I'm doing this or that and why I'm choosing this or that. Whereas with this work, it was the first time in many years that I allowed myself not to prove to myself every decision and articulate why and have answers to all the questions, but to just ask a question in a way, and that's, yeah.
Is the work visually different? I mean, can you tell the difference between before and after?
Well, and that's another part, that this is actually, that was the first time I worked with 16mm camera, and that was the third or fourth video work that I made fully by myself. So yeah, so that's on that side, but also the experience enormously influenced how I work with dance, because I'm coming back to I have a dance background, and choreography work was where I was coming from, and then I took a break, and basically this experience brought you back. Yeah.
I just want a little footnote to that, and then I'll come to your question. So Lilian, when Alex was describing this process, is that something that is familiar that you've heard from many artists who arrive with this very kind of concrete plan, I know what I'm going to do, and then that goes completely out of the window? Is that a familiar scenario?
Yeah, it's very familiar. It's funny, I think it's a very interesting question, and I think for Alexis it's not that a rupture, because she came understanding that her body was part of the landscape. But for other artists who are from the history of art, are used to the gender of landscape, and so they come to the forest and they, as a subject artist, interpreting as an object nature, they got totally lost, and usually they change their art process. It's really, really normal to happen. There is histories that someone who paint and who do drawings, they go back to their studio and they rust everything, they destroy everything, and there's people that change totally their process. But I think there is also an important difference between gender. The approach of men is totally different from the approach of women. Women are more willing to let the body let free in the rainforest, but the men are quite very restricted. They really need to know where they are, to control everything, to represent, to grab nature, and over there you have to let it be. You have to let it go, And I think for men, sometimes they reject it, sometimes they don't like it at all, or sometimes they really change their artistic process.
Okay, that might be something that comes back into conversation later on. We had a question down here at the front, and then one at the back, and then we'll have a break. Could you just wait for the mic, and then we can pick it up on the camera? That'd be great. It's coming.
Hello? Yeah, I'm not used to a microphone. Hi, thank you. Just out of interest, I came a bit late, so I might miss the introduction. But I understand that this is about art, ecology, and science. Yeah. What is your manifesto or mission statement amongst that concept of engaging artists into ecology, and also what outputs when you're hoping to achieve, how you actually achieve those outputs?
I think this, I don't know, this is very abstract for me, because we are doing such a new thing from my point of view and from my world. I'm from the Amazon, I'm local, but I'm working with contemporary art in Manaus. This is totally new, and also in the region, right? In Manaus is totally different. Nobody really understands what I'm doing. So I'm also trying to figure out what I'm doing. So I don't have exactly one statement. But this is something that deals with my personal belongings also, because I am from Manaus. I went back to live abroad to study, and I always came back and was seeing that the landscape was being deforested. So I had to do something about it, but I was working with art. So this was my way to deal with this situation. But I don't know, we still are in the process of development. I don't know where I'm gonna reach. I don't know if I'm doing the right job to engage local community, because this is really matters to me. I'm local, so it's my community. But it's something that I have to let it go to see where it goes.
So it's an evolution.
Huh?
An evolution.
Yeah.
Remind me, how many years has it been running the program?
It's 5 years.
5 years. So it's still very nascent, very young.
Yeah, totally.
That evolution
And also
process.
it's funny because when we start, we gained a prize from the Cultural Minister of Brazil. We used to have a cultural minister in Brazil. Now we don't have anymore, but we win a prize to develop this project. So I entered to this national institute, and I started to ask science to collaborate. But I asked 20 different scientists, and they couldn't be able to understand what I wanted, because this is so new, art and science, well, in my context, right? So after talking to so many people, I find out a crazy guy that his mother was an art curator, and then we started to work, and then now I know the people that I can call on, and these people that are more environmentalists, that are more politic, and more who wants to democratize their knowledge. There are just a few of scientists.
I guess that's something that, as the program develops and it builds reputation, and science, I imagine more scientists will begin to understand what you're doing and kind of get involved and come on board.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a question at the back, and then we shall have a pause.
Hi, I really enjoyed both the talks about the residencies. So my question is, how would the new political change affect, first of all, the attitude to Amazon, which we've heard some disturbing news of, and how are you going to face it as an organization that tries to highlight Amazon as natural resource? You think you're going to get more political? Are you going to still get funding?
Yeah.
This is what...
Yeah, this is a good question. Actually, now we are passing through a very bad phase for Brazil, like, I think you have heard that fascist got elected, and he says that the Amazon is an empty space. Imagine how narrow he is. And he's actually, during the election period, it was the period that we had most of deforestation in the Amazon. So things are really happening now. Communities, I think now just 70 indigenous communities got invaded, and the Amazon, the deforestation of the Amazon increased. So I think a lot of things are going to change in the Amazon, because he really got elected by this lobby of agribusiness that he wants to do deforestate the Amazon to agro-industry monoculture, right? So we were thinking of how can we do something more political, and the institution that I'm working with, it's totally break, the National Institute of Amazonia Research. I hope there is no one from sciences who cannot talk bad about this institution. But it's a federal institution, and he's not giving money to culture, but he's also not giving money to science. So we are in a very bad situation now. And I was thinking, how could we approach or change methodology? We're thinking maybe to create a program that we are going just to the damaged zone instead of primary zone. But this is also a matter of, it's creating another methodology, and also it's everything so far, and there is no support. So we don't know what we're going to do. We also thought about creating a prize for more political aspects, for document, for creating memory of the deforestation and memory of the disasters. But I still need to get collaborators. But almost, as an organization, I'm almost alone. It's something that, it's like the institution that I collaborate, it's very old, everything, it's like breaking, and it's really hard. I think we have, first of all, we have to get together, then to step further.
Okay, thank you. We'll pause there. Thank you so much, Lilian and Alexandra, for giving us the two different perspectives
Nice.
on a fantastic programme. So thank you very much.